have one final request for you from
Certainly.
Fantasy Island. And what we'd like you to do is if you could recreate a little bit the opening of the series for someone who's never seen it.
Well, at the beginning, I've been talking to Hervé, my assistant, who's asking me questions. Who is that? Well, that's so and so. What's her fantasy? So and so and so and so. And that, well, that's me so and so. By the way, I memorized all these things, even though the camera was not on me. The camera was. He says, "Who's that boss?" And you cut to the one. I said, "Well, that's me so and so." What's her fantasy, boss? And she's still walking. And finally, at the end, can we do that, boss? Certainly we can do that. Now, who's that, boss? Well, that's so and so and so and so. So they say, why don't we put that in a teleprompter and you read it? Why do you have to memorize all those names and things? I said, because if you don't use this, you lose it. Raymond Burr, for instance, was so used to teleprompters that for so long they tried to do a play and he had trouble remembering the lines. It was a disaster. I said, no, I'm always going to use this. So anyway, I would do all that, and then at the end, when they all came, I would take my glass and I would say, my dear guests, I am Mr. Rourke, your host. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to 1985 when you started on the Colbys.
Yeah, the Colbys, in Europe was one of their favorite, very, very successful show. But here we were going against, what was it? I forget, something like, not terrible, I don't remember, but a very, very popular show, and we couldn't do it. So we lasted only 2 seasons. And then in the first season, the reason I wanted to do it, well, also to be in another series, why not? It's wonderful, get paid rather handsomely, And, but Barbara Stanwyck was in the cast with Charlton Heston. And of course, Barbara, she was my idol, wonderful actress. Oh, I admire Barbara so much. And then I said, well, will I be able to have some scenes with Miss Stanwyck? I said, of course. One scene I did in the 1 year, one scene, very simple little scene, nothing. And she said, Ricardo, I want to quit. We became very good friends, very close, Barbara and my wife and I, very close. And she said, I'm not going to do another season because what I'm doing is use a different expression. What I'm doing is crap, but it's a worse word than crap. And so I don't mind doing good crap. This is bad crap. I do the same crap every single show, the same, and so did I, Oh, I would talk to the girl, oh, listen to me. If you say no to me, then I will leave, and I would leave. And then the next I come back, oh, please, I want to be, the same scene. It was not imaginatively written, it was not very good. But I stayed the next year without Barbara Stanwyck, which is, and it only. But as I say, in Europe it was a very successful show. But here they didn't discover us. The audience were not turning on to see us, and so it only lasted two seasons. And I was sad to see that disappear too, because when you go into something, naturally you want it to be successful, Yeah.
Describe your character of Zach Powers.
Describe him? Well, the man is a wealthy man, very spoiled. And he meets his match, and the girl, terrible. Oh, that's terrible. I can't think. I'm taking some medication for my spinal cord injury, and it makes me a little bit out of focus. An English actress, very good. Anyway, he meets his match on her. He likes her. He's very attracted to her. He actually, but more than that, I think he's a little bit of Don Juan. He likes the conquest. If she had finally said yes, marry him, I think he would have started cheating on her. He liked the conquest. He likes and with her, he couldn't quite conquer her, to some extent, but not really totally. So And that's the character I think that I found to make him, to give him a little extra dimension, you know. I thought of him as that. She's a challenge, and I love to possess her and make her be mine. And it was interesting to play, but it wasn't written that way, you know. It could have been much richer. It was very repetitive, what I had to do week after week after week, you know. Very repetitive.
Let's talk about some other series that you appeared on. One being Heaven Help Us.
Oh, Heaven Help Us. Yeah, that was, I was already trouble walking. I have to work with a walker due to this spinal injury that I have. And, but being an angel, with the magic of the camera, I could be sitting here. I say, all right, let's go to the dining room, and I would disappear, and I would be in the dining room already waiting. So the locomotion was not important, you know. So we did that. However, I don't know what happened in that series. I really can't analyze it too well. I think it could have been very palatable and very interesting, but that, you know, television, as I say, is like a laboratory where you try experiments and most of them don't work. The amount of stories that are written for as potential television series, let's say 200, not exaggerating. Of those 200, how many get bought, or not bought, but how many get to do a pilot? That 200, maybe 4. You know. Of those 4, how many become a series? Maybe just 1. I mean, I'm perhaps exaggerating a little bit, but that's really the great challenge of television. The best intentions sometimes don't work. You know, it's a very, very difficult medium. There's got to be the right chemistry with the actors, the right chemistry between the actor and the public seeing you, and the stories to hold the attention and allow the actors to be able to express that which the public would want to see in them, you know. So that's why Fantasy Island was to me incredible. We lasted 7 years, you know. It was quite incredible against those odds.
Another series you appeared on was Chicago Hope.
That I only appeared in one series because being I'm impaired physically, physically handicapped is the word, I think. I tell you my qualifications. Number 1, Mexican. We don't have any bandits in this picture. There's no room for you. Strike 1. Elder citizen. Strike 2. Physically handicapped. Strike 3, you're out. So there are not too many opportunities for somebody in my position. Chicago Hope gave me the opportunity to play a role as a guest in it, in which I could use my walker, you know, and so I know in Chicago Hope I think I was in a bed in the hospital, you see, and so it was written. I don't know if it was written for me, but I think it was perhaps adapted to my situation, because it was a hospital show. I was able to work in that role. I did that. I did another one for Alan Spelling. Oh Lord, on a boat. It wasn't a love boat.
The Next Wave.
I think it was The Next Wave. And then I played again a man who used to be, I think, a race car driver with an accident a long time ago, and was left physically handicapped. And that way, you know, I could do roles like that. If my name were Lionel Barrymore, if my name were John Smith, they could find a role for me, I think. You know, being a detective who has great theories, who was injured in a heist or something, and they shot him and he paralyzed his legs or something. But he has great knowledge, and he can instruct the young detectives about this and that. A role like that I could play, you know. But being Ricardo Montalban, mm-mm, no way. No, I mean, I'm not, I'm really, I sound like I'm sour grapes. No. No, I accept the fact. You see, the best roles in Mexico are written for Mexicans. The best roles in Bulgaria are written for Bulgarians. The best roles in America, up to this time, although it's beginning to change, was written for Caucasians, the best roles. That's it, you know. And I accepted the fact. And somebody says, if you don't like it, go back to Mexico. No, I do like it. I love it here. I love the American public. They're very wonderful to me. Some of the letters I have received are really inspiring, so sweet, so nice. So I'm very grateful to the American public, the way I've always been received. It is Hollywood itself that now keeps changing. There used to be big studios, you know, that were almost self-sufficient, you know. And MGM was like a little city in there, including a school, you know, a hospital, a library, like you can't believe it, research library. And I mean, it was like a city, and it was like a beautifully running, well-oiled machine, like General Motors, you know. And every actor had its place, and everybody had, you know, someone do publicity for you, and they created a persona about you, and then they wrote special things, and it was wonderful. Now it's in the hands of so-called independents who, some of them are very young, they have no idea of your background or what you've done in the past. And it's a different world, and I accept it. I accept that's the way it is. No, I love it here. I'm an American citizen. I love it here.
In 1969, you co-founded Nosotros. How did that come about?
Well, all my life, as I think I said previously, I resented the fact that the way that Mexico has been portrayed. So a group of young men, not actors, came to me and said, Ricardo, we are trying to have a voice that the producers will hear, and trying to, you know, portray Mexico in a better light. I said, yeah. Would you form an organization like this and be the front of it? So I said, well, let me think a minute. And I talked to friends, and they said, don't you get involved in this. Hollywood say, no, it's a militant. If you complain, don't get, no, please don't get. I say, no, but my God, I owe Mexico something, and I owe the United States something. I want Mexico and the United States to know each other better. I'll form an organization. I'll do the organization. What is the name? Well, originally it was going to be Mexico because, as I said, the bandits were always Mexicans. They were not Argentinians, Mexicans. That's what I wanted, to get rid of the bandits, you know. But many of the other nationalities of Latin America came to me and said, Ricardo, we also in the same boat in a way. Please include us. I said, all right. So I got the word nosotros. Nosotros means we in Spanish language. Meant we of Spanish-speaking origin. Nosotros as the name of the organization. What are the goals? Very simple goals. First, to correct the image on the screen. You know, to correct the image on the screen. Second, to be judged by our ability or lack of ability. If we don't have the ability, we don't deserve the role. What we do deserve is the opportunity to compete for that role. If Eli Wallach can play a Mexican bandit better than I can, he should do it. Because in the final analysis, the better actor should get the role. But we would like very much to have the opportunity to compete for the role. Perhaps there are some actors among us who could do even a more creditable job as a Mexican bandit than Eli Wallach. If not, Eli Wallach, God bless you, do the role. So it's the opportunity with the seeking. Please let us compete. Also, to be judged, I say, by our ability or lack of ability, not by our name. Because many actors changed and anglicized their names, and lo and behold, they were playing roles. They have no accent, you see. They were playing roles all over the place. The minute they changed their names. Before they were playing bandits. Changed, anglicized their name, now they're playing even Shakespeare in New York, you know. So we want to keep our name, you know. We're very honored to bear the name of our family, our so please don't let us change our name. What is a name, you know? Judge us by our ability. And finally, to have a workshop where our actors could increase their ability so that when the opportunity arises, they can fend for themselves more advantageously, you see. So those are the simple, very simple principles. Do you think Hollywood almost blackmailed me? I mean, blacklisted me in a way. What is he complaining about? Go back, ungrateful son of a gun. And I couldn't get a job. Couldn't get a job in town. Then there was a very militant group called Justicia, which means justice in Spanish, Justicia. And they were very militant young men who, when I found the organization, they were going to kill me. And in front of the little shop that we had, a little building where we had a little theater, minimal space, but a little theater there. In front one day, letters about this big, in red, and then with drops of blood like this, saying, Montalban must die, underlined. And then we had the benefit of the Hollywood Bowl, and I was the master of ceremonies, and the FBI came and said, no, you can't go. Why? Because Justicia says that they have spotters all over the place with guns around the Hollywood Bowl from the hills, and they'll kill you if you were on the stage. Then they used to call my home and scare my kids. Your dad. So finally I went by myself to where Justicia was, in East Los Angeles. And I knocked on their door, and they opened the door. And they saw me. And they said, well, may I come in? And they let me in. Of course, posters of, communist things, and of course, Zapata and Villa, which is fine, and very militant all around me. And I said, what do you want? I said, well, I am here because I understand I want to be killed. And I am not a hero. I'm afraid to die. I don't want to die. I have a wife and 4 children. I don't want to die. But before I die, I would like to know why it is that you are going to kill me. Well, man, because you're a Tio Taco, an Uncle Tom. When we want to talk to producers, they say, no, we're already talking to Ricardo Montalban. So you've got to go, man. You've got to go, man. Because we're not from El Barrio. You're not a Chicano. No, I'm not a Chicano. I'm a Mexican. I'm not a Chicano. I know where I belong. I guess you don't. Chicano, I don't know what Chicano means, but no, I'm a Mexican, so I respect it. So is that why? I say, I thought that in the war against the injustice, because Hollywood has been very unjust, you need the army, the Marines, the kamikazes, perhaps. Maybe that's what you are. But I thought you needed also the ambassadors, to have a tactful meeting with people and opening doors through dialogue, and diplomacy. I think you need a diplomatic department too, and I thought that was the role that I could do. But if you think that I'm on your way, I'll go. I'll go back to play tennis. I'm dedicating too much time to this thing. I have neglected my career. Perhaps I can open doors in Hollywood again for myself, because right now I can't. I've been able to get a role. I'd be delighted if that's what you want. I thought I could contribute. As if I were not in the room, the 2 leaders looked at each other and said, hey, man, he sounds sincere. Yeah. I say, I am sincere. All right. Listen, I want you to meet my mother, the main leader. And I go, sure. And he took me to their home, and the door opens, and there's the mother. Ricardo, man, kiss me both cheeks at once. I got to see you, and the kids. Ricardo. So wonderful, so warm, And so then this fellow became a friend after that. There was no more. It's like it was Maimonides, the great Jewish philosopher and rabbi, who said many years ago, he said, I will destroy my enemies by making them friends. And that's what happened there. I made them friends. Where's the enemy? Disappeared. I wish the world would listen to that advice. But anyway, after that, I had to go. I couldn't get a job, and I had to go on the road. Thank God that the theater is the greatest ally of the actor. There's always some place, some little theater somewhere that says, welcome back, son. Come here. And that's why I did. I did theater, and I toured with Don Juan in Hell by George Bernard Shaw, a beautiful piece. I did a one-night stands by Bus. 138 cities in 6 months, away from my family. That was with Myrna Loy, who was a wonderful trooper, Kirk Hasner, and Edward Mulhare. And we did that for 6 months. But I had to make a living, you know. And when I went through Detroit, they saw my work there, the people from Young and Rubicam, which is the advertising company of Chrysler, and some of the directives of Chrysler, including Mrs. John Ricardo, who was married to the president of Chrysler at the time. They were getting ready to do a car with a Hispanic name and said, wait a minute, he would be all right. See, timing is amazing. And that's how I got the Cordoba, which I should be Cordova, but they didn't let me say Cordova. I'd say Cordova. The Cordova commercial lasted 16 years. I broke all records for a car salesman on television. 16 years, quite remarkable. Because I was there, see? Because I was there at that time when they were ready to do this car. It's all timing and luck in the business. And because of that, Aaron Spelling saw the commercial. Hey, it looks all right. Because I was playing kind of an elegant man, you know, Cordova thing with rich Corinthian leather, I would say, and this and the other. He said, wait a minute. And that's how Aaron got the idea of me, getting me for Fantasy Island. Amazing how, you know, how the twists and turns of an actor's fate.
Nosotros is still strong today.
Nosotros went through a very bad period in which we almost lost it. And now we got it back again, and we are in better shape than ever. We have a president called Jerry Velasco, who's very imaginative, and he's really giving his life to it. Wonderful. I can't anymore as I used to, you know. I'm still the director, I'm the founding president, and you know, the chairman of the board of the Ricardo Montalban Foundation. And we have bought a theater, and they insist on putting my name on the theater, which would be very lovely. I didn't want that. I wanted just Nosotros, but they said, no, you know, in Hollywood there's the Henry Fonda Theater. It'd be wonderful for the community to have a Hispanic name, the Ricardo Montalban Theater. Why not, Ricardo? Come on. So, well, if you think it's important, very important, very good, very positive. So it looks perhaps that's going to happen.
What advice would you give to an aspiring actor today?
What would I say? To an aspiring actor today, or actress, I would say, do you love it? Do you love it? Do you have a passion for it? Because if you are in it because you think it's going to make a lot of money, and you're going to have glamour, and you're an actor, have girls, and there's some fame, don't get into it. It's the cruelest, most insecure vocation in the world. It's very, very, very hard. You may get a break, you know, and you may hit it big, but you may get a break, and then you can maintain that, and you disappear. How often they would say, whatever happened to, you know, that can happen to actors all right and left. Very few make it. Very few make it to big stardom. So if you're in it because you have a burning passion to be an actor, because you love it, and you're willing to sacrifice, and you're willing to study, and you're willing to work, and you're going to go to little theaters and work for nothing. Just hone your talent, love it, and be ready to. It's like a prize fighter doesn't get, after the first round, he doesn't go back to his corner and say, gee, that guy's trying to beat the hell out of me. No, he knows what it's there for. Know that this profession is a very difficult one. It's going to test you. So you have to have perseverance and great love for it. Otherwise, you don't belong as an actor. You don't belong in it. You're going to be very, very hurt, very disappointed.
What is your opinion of the fame that you have achieved over the years? How has that affected you?
Well, fame, I suppose I've achieved some kind of fame, recognizable name for quite a while and everything. I don't think it affected me, except that I perhaps I'm more conceited than I appear to be, because I think that I am better than I really am. And there is no better judge of that than yourself when you look at yourself in the screen and you say, I'm not as good as I thought I was, you know. To me, it's a humbling experience being an actor, but also it spurs you to do better the next time. So my life has been ask not what the role can do for you, ask what you can do for the role, because the roles that I'm given really are lacking. There's nothing. I've never had a great role, never. Uh, so it's my career has been, I guess, constancy of doing the best I could with the role that I had at hand, treated with dignity. Once I accept the role, once I accept it, don't complain. That role is the best role you've ever had in your life. Treat it like that. It's not good, make it better. See, that has been the challenge of my life. I've never been given a platter, a wonderful role. The closest thing, it was, I guess, the Wrath of Khan in Star Trek, because the man had a lot of passion and so forth, and it was an interesting character. But that's the closest. But it wasn't really a great role, you know. I never had. The King and I did it on stage, which is a wonderful role, but not on screen, you know. I've never had a great role on screen. But I think it's the continuity of over the years that I persevere is what the only quality that I recognize in me is perseverance, tenacity, be there out of necessity, you know. But never give up, go forward, Treat every role as if it's the best role you've ever had, no matter what it is. Some terrible role, like I did some cheap pictures in Italy, terrible roles. But to me at that time, no, this is the greatest role in the world, you know. It was very funny because I couldn't get any roles here, and I called the William Morris Agency, and I said, I just came out of my contract with MGM, co-starring about the title with Lana Turner, and but right now the contract gets off, and I don't get the check every week. I need to do it. Oh, we'll get you a picture. And they got me a picture called The Saracen Blade. We did it in 12 days. The Crusaders against the infidel. And the infidel was dressed, like the Crusaders, and all of a sudden the fighting in front of me. A Crusader would hit an infidel, and the infidel would go down, and while he was down, he put a thing of it and come out as a Crusader to make it like more people. Terrible. We did it. Sam Katzman was the producer. I said, from MGM to Sam Katzman? Oh, no. It says, today it doesn't matter. Well, I couldn't get a job after that. And one day I am home, and they send me a script called La Cortigiana de Babilonia. And I read it, I say, I can't do this. Terrible. Put it away. Phone rings. Ricardo, business manager. The payment on the house, it's next month, and we're a little low in funds. Anything happened? Any projects? Well, I don't know. I hang up. And all of a sudden, I look at that script with very benign eyes. And I say, wait a minute. This is not so bad. Here I have a fight with a crocodile. I have a fencing thing. I kill 3 guys. I end up with a girl. Who's the girl? Rhonda Fleming, lovely girl. Sure, I'll do it. And I went to Italy, and I did this terrible picture. But at that moment, I thought, no, it's a great role. I had to treat it that way, Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Well, it's my pleasure. I hope that you can use some of the things that I've said.
Thank you.
Thank you.